Hi, this is Rob Weinstock. We're here on By. Today with us we have Wes Strickling from Codex TextWorks. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So Wes, there's a lot of buzz in ophthalmology and medicine in general around EMR, EHR, HIPAA compliance, network solutions, a lot of digital integration. A lot of things these days around that in practice operations. You're an expert in that arena. All of us are concerned about our practices, the safety of the data. Tell us a little bit about some of the space, things we need to worry about, things that are going on, and things that should be on our radar.
One of the things that we want to, I want to get everyone's head around is to focus on the HIPAA compliance aspect of the data storage. What this will do is it'll give us an overarching perspective of where all the information sits. So as a covered entity, under HIPAA, they're required, basically you're the custodian of the electronic protected health information in your practice. And that comes in many different forms. A lot of the providers, it's easy to understand, I have my electronic health record system. We know that that is part of the record. One of the things that's less understood is all the disparate pieces of electronic protected health information that are also in the practice. The OCTs, the fundus photos, your anterior seg photos, letters to providers you're co-managing patients with.
Any device, any piece of paper, any communication that has any bit of patient information outside of, say, just the EHR record. And I think most surgeons are pretty much on board with that, and we understand that all of that is that type of information that needs to be protected. But what are the strategies that we need to do that we aren't thinking about that are going to make us safe from a data breach?
So through the process of the HIPAA risk assessment, which is required under the HIPAA guidelines starting as far back as 2005, that process will go through the practice and basically put into buckets all of the different pieces of that information so you know where it is. Often some bits of information get left out, so you'll back up the things that are front of mind, the electronic health record system, the OCT, the fundus photos, and then you might forget, the letters written on co-managing. So it's sort of going through a process so we can make sure we've got everything down.
Okay, so it's kind of gotten to the point where you need to either have somebody identified within your practice that is their specialty, to keep their arms around all that and keep a log of all the different devices, all the different medium of which this information is shared, and making sure it's protected, firewalls, dispersed in the proper way, not left out. Or there is services in our industry or providers or like a company like you run that will come in and do that type of stuff for us.
Absolutely. Okay. And even if it's outsourced, the practice administrator needs to be very involved in ensuring that it's followed through and that things are taken care of.
When we buy EHR systems, we think we're getting the full package. You get it, and the expectation is that you're just set. But there's all these other pieces, right? There's
Absolutely.
These other things, and then there's the intraweb in your office, and then you're sending letters out to other doctors. What's involved in that process in the actual security network of all these devices and the EHR system, and is there a best-in-class practice on how to protect that and make it HIPAA compliant?
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, there's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross in managing a modern, paperless practice. And there are standard templates for how healthcare networks should be designed. And then in addition, an eye care specific network, because of eye care is very device heavy as far as diagnostic equipment, whereas some other medical specialties aren't as device heavy. So we'll want to make sure that all of those devices are put into the template for the secure healthcare network.
Now, would you say that this HIPAA compliance arena that we're talking about right now and keeping a hold of that in the practice and safe falls under practice IT, or is it almost a separate thing? Because we all in our practices have a big need for IT now. We've got to get these devices to communicate. We all have computers and iPads, and EHR is all electronic, obviously. So IT becomes important. Would that go under that umbrella within the practice?
With the right provider, it absolutely should. And that's when where picking the provider becomes so imperative. A provider that doesn't understand the HIPAA implications is not going to be able to provide all those services and will most certainly leave you vulnerable.
And to my understanding, the EHR companies, they don't really take care of that. You need a third party to handle all of that.
Absolutely. Generally, they're only going to take care of their information, which we call the structured EPHI, where it's inside the record. The unstructured EPHI is everything else, letters, images, so on and so forth.
If somebody was going to implement EHR, and it was kind of the inception of getting all of this taken care of, is there kind of a little bullet list you can give advice of what to do once, like, to get ready for implementing EHR, what they should do to make sure they're all covered and they're doing all the right things?
Yeah, so a really quick pre-implementation checklist. I would say the HIPAA risk assessment needs to be done first. Not only is it required, but it will give you an overall visual map of where everything is in your office, the processes, the procedures, and the EPHI. In addition, I would want to make sure that you work with a healthcare-specific IT vendor to make sure that the foundation that they're going to put the electronic health record system on top of is sound. If the network is poorly designed or not, or say if the practice grew and it was designed for the practice 5 years ago and 2 offices ago, when they put the electronic health record system on top of that foundation, it won't be able to sustain it.
Gotcha. So it sounds like for a big practice or a small practice, doing this diligence up front, getting an assessment and a plan together is going to really aid in the whole process and make sure it goes smoothly, and then you can just keep cruising along, working, and not having to worry you're at any risk, and everything is protected.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is the risk assessments are required annually, so it's a good catch-all to go around and say, oh, look, we've added, if they were missed on the initial installation, we've added a new interior SEG piece of equipment that has EPHI on it. You scoop that up in the next assessment and add it into the template.
Is it a mandated thing to get this risk assessment? Do we have to do it?
Have to do it annually, absolutely.
Okay, and can you do it internally yourself if you have the right people involved in your practice?
Yeah, there are guidelines. The Health and Human Services website has a lot of resources, and then there's some NIST, some National Institutes of Standards and Technology, has written a specific guideline on doing the risk assessments. It is a 150-page government document, so
wow.
it will take some work, but you can do it in-house.
Well, this has been very helpful, great information. Thank you so much for being here with us today on Buy.
Thank you for having me.